there, Randy Walker coming to you from the Shiloh National Battlefield, Civil War battlefield in Tennessee. And behind me is the Shiloh Church. And this is where this famous battle got its name. Shiloh means place of peace, but this was certainly anything but a place of peace on Sunday morning, April 6th, 1862, when Confederate forces attacked Union forces, and the battle basically started right here. William Tecumseh Sherman was the Union general who was stationed here when the attack first started, and the Confederates almost completely overran the Union forces, drove them all the way to the Tennessee River at Pittsburg Landing, and day two of the battle, the Union forces that were reinforced by General Buell coming in from Nashville, I believe, and the Union was able to take back most of the ground that they lost after the first day, and then resumed their advancement into Mississippi, etc. But let's take a look here at this church. There still is an active church here, the Shiloh Church there. But this, of course, is not the original church. It's been rebuilt. One thing that's kind of interesting is like the names of Civil War battles. The Union, the North, they would call battles by a certain name, and the South would call battles by another name. And what I read was that Northern troops were more fascinated by geography and so forth, so they named battles after rivers or mountains or other natural named areas, whereas the South would name battles after tangible towns or buildings, etc. So in the North, this battle was called the Battle of Pittsburg Landing, whereas the South called it the Battle of Shiloh, meaning the battle of this church, Shiloh Church. So that is kind of interesting. But General William Tecumseh Sherman, who became more famous for his march to the sea and the destruction of Atlanta in 1864, he was stationed right here when the Confederates first attacked, and the Confederate general who was leading the attack was Albert Sidney Johnston, who was killed at this battle. He was one of the highest ranking generals killed in the Civil War. And when he was killed, General P.T. Beauregard took over the Confederate Army here, and he led the battle basically from here and the eventual retreat back into Mississippi after the battle was over. So William Tecumseh Sherman and P.T. Beauregard were both walking on these grounds in 1862, April 6th, and April 7th, 1862. So just a little history lesson here. There's the active church, which is still here. There's some folks here on a Sunday morning doing some work around the church, etc. So anyway, just a little history lesson from Shiloh Church, Pittsburg Landing, Tennessee, just over the Mississippi border in Tennessee. And certainly get more information about this battle. There's some great videos. The American Battlefield Trust has some great video tours and educational videos about the battle and so forth. So I highly recommend that. This was one of the bloodiest battles in the Civil War, and the Union general that was in charge of all the forces was, of course, Ulysses S. Grant, who was the hero of the Civil War for the North and eventually became president of the United States. So fascinating visit here. So Randy Walker from Shiloh Church at the Shiloh National Battlefield in Tennessee. Thank you for subscribing to my R. Walker Travel YouTube channel. Subscribe, share, like.